Picture two giants of the tech ETF world, FTEC and VGT, locked in a fierce competition. It's a clash of titans, but why these two? They represent the best alternatives to the well-known QQQ investment trust. They're not just competitors, they're the frontrunners of the tech ETF landscape, each with its own unique strengths and defining characteristics. Let's start with the basics. Both FTEC and VGT began with the same humble start balance of $10,000. Fast forward to today, and you'll find that FTEC has grown to a whopping $55,108. VGT, on the other hand, has edged slightly ahead, ending with $56,315. It's a neck-and-neck race, folks, with VGT just barely nudging ahead in this round. But there's more to this competition than meets the eye. We've got to delve a bit deeper into the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of these two ETFs. Let's talk about expense ratios. FTEC's expense ratio stands at a mere 0.08%, VGT slightly higher at 0.1%. It's a small difference, but in the world of investing, every little bit counts. Then there's the matter of returns. FTEC's annualized return, or CAGR, clocks in at 19.87%. VGT edges ahead once more, boasting a CAGR of 20.15%. The competition gets even tighter when we consider other key aspects. The standard deviation, the best and worst years, the maximum drawdown, the Sharpe ratio, and the Sortino ratio, all these factors play a crucial role in shaping the performance and appeal of these ETFs. In the face-off between FTEC and VGT, the differences may be subtle, but they are significant. Each has its own strengths and weaknesses, and the choice between them depends on your individual investment goals and risk tolerance. This is a battle that's far from over, and only time will tell which ETF will emerge as the ultimate champion. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. It's time to dissect the numbers and see what they reveal. So, let's start with FTC. This fund starts with a balance of $10,000 and ends up with a whopping $55,108. That's a result of an annualized return, or CAGR, of just under 20%. But hold on, it's not all smooth sailing. The standard deviation, a measure of volatility, is nearly 20%. The best year saw returns of over 53%, but the worst year was a tough one, with a drop of nearly 30%. The maximum drawdown, the largest peak-to-trough decline, was over 32%. Yet it has a Sharpe ratio of 0.94 and a Sortino ratio of 1.59, indicating a decent risk-adjusted return. Now let's dive into VGT. It starts with the same $10,000, but ends up with a slightly higher $56,315. The annualized return, or CAGR, is slightly higher at over 20%. The standard deviation is almost identical to FTC's at just over 19%. The best year for VGT saw returns of just over 52%, while the worst year saw a drop of nearly 30%. The maximum drawdown is also very similar to FTC's at over 32%. The Sharpe ratio is a smidgen higher at 0.95, and the Sortino ratio slightly outranks FTEC's at 1.62. What does this all mean? Well, VGT has a slight edge in terms of end balance and annualized return. The risk metrics, however, are very similar for both funds. Both have had their best and worst years, and both have shown similar levels of volatility. As we peel back the layers, it becomes clear that FTEC and VGT are two sides of the same coin, each with its unique strengths and weaknesses. In the final analysis, the choice between FTEC and VGT is not a simple black and white decision. When we look at the numbers, we see that both FTSE and VGT hold their own quite well in the tech sector. They both offer strong returns with annualized returns of nearly 20%. However, VGT does pull ahead slightly, boasting an annualized return of 20.15% as compared to FTEC's 19.87%. Yet it's not just the returns that matter, but also the cost of investing. Although the difference is minuscule, VGT does come with a slightly higher expense ratio at 0.1% compared to FTC's 0.08%. This could translate to a small but significant difference in the long run. Risk is another important factor to consider. Both funds have a similar risk profile with a standard deviation of just under 20%. Their best and worst years are also strikingly similar, indicating that they have experienced similar market trends. However, the Sortino ratio, which measures the risk-adjusted return, is slightly higher for VGT, indicating a slightly better performance on a risk-adjusted basis. But the decision between FTEC and VGT isn't solely about the numbers. It's about what fits your investment strategy and your risk tolerance. Are you willing to pay a slightly higher expense for a slightly higher return? Or do you prefer to keep costs to a minimum? Are you comfortable with the risk level of these funds? In the end, what matters most is that both FTS and VGT are strong contenders in the tech sector, featuring some of the most powerful and innovative companies in the industry. They both offer a way to leverage the growth and dynamism of the tech sector, with a small difference in cost and return. Whether you choose FTC or VGT, you're investing in the tech sector's powerhouses. The ultimate decision lies in your hands. Remember to subscribe and comment on what fund you would like me to look into next.